of 2013, Kyle Edwards, football and basketball. Kyle scored 609 points with 96 three-pointers during his 3-year basketball career. All-state 6th team, stack first team, all-county first team for the 2012-13 basketball season. He rushed 189 for 1,053 and received 19 to 281 for 1,334 yards of football, real estate in 2011-12. He scored 1,282 points during his 4-year career at St. Lawrence University, and he served as the Norwich High School student body president. He's inducted in 2025 to present Kyle as his dad, Kurt. Come on up, Kurt.
Round of applause for our MC today, Rich Turnbull. I'd like to congratulate the Hall of Fame honorees, Anna Runyon, Michael Sutton, Jim Weiser, 1965 NHS track team, and of course my son, Kyle Evans. Additionally, I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for their diligence, research, and thoughtful deliberations as they pursued a final list of the honorees for this annual event. My father served on the Hall of Fame committee for many years. He loved it. He loved everything about it. I know he's looking down, thrilled, and proud that Kyle was inducted. And there's somebody else that was inducted. He'd get a kick out of this, but his best friend, Rusty Houston, was on the 1965 track team. When my boys were in high school and they happened to do well either academically or in sports, I often received messages from many people asking me if I knew who their father was. Well, since Rich Turnbull published the article about Kyle, those messages have returned. Yes, he is my son. But as I often say, both brains and athleticism seem to skip a generation. Mr. Weiser can confirm the brains part because he was my 10th grade teacher. Actually, that's not fair to my wife. Maybe it's just the male gene that skipped the generation. I'm delighted to stand here tonight as we recognize and celebrate Mary Carol and my son Kyle's induction to the Norwich Hall of Fame. It's a tremendous honor. But it's not just about what he accomplished on the field or on the court. It's about the values, the memories, and the people that shaped the journey along the way. It's about the lessons he learned and the quality of the people who supported him and the way he has carried those values into every stage of his life. From the time Kyle was little, sports were the center of his life. Countless hours were spent in the driveway, the yard, and around town, playing ball with friends, and most importantly, his brothers, Keegan, Casey, and Cameron. They were his fiercest competition and his biggest supporters. Those family games built not just skills, but bonds that will last a lifetime. His parents and grandparents were there for all, nearly every game. Every season and every moment. Beaming with pride, beaming with pride every time Kyle took the field or court, just certainly as we did for all our boys. There are few things that make this community of Norwich a little bit different, a little bit special. Alongside the family were countless friends, teammates that became like brothers, and their parents who became like extended family. Those Friday night lights on the football field and the winter nights in the gym weren't just events. They were Norwich community events. Last night was a perfect example of what I mean, homecoming. Hundreds of JV and varsity athletes, the Norwich Cyclones, and their coaching staffs were being recognized with a couple of thousand people in the stands and a victory for the Purple Tornado. Nice job, Mike. Mike, I asked Mike because Edwards family the program was dedicated to us, and I said, Mike, I think somebody told me that I get to call the first 2 series. He didn't let me. I'm certain that Kyle and the other honorees here tonight never felt like they were playing for themselves, but rather they were playing for their teammates, Norwich High School, and for this community. Kyle's journey was also shaped by incredible mentors and coaches and teachers who guided him at every level. From his youth days all the way through high school and college, he was surrounded by people who cared as much about the person he was becoming as they did about the athlete he was. Teachers like Mrs. Lund, Mrs. Dowell, Mrs. Locke, and of course I can't forget Rich Turnbull, who taught, if you can believe this, a college-accredited course called History in Hollywood. Kyle still remembers and shared the lessons they learned from Mr. Turnbull from watching movies like Patton, Shawshank Redemption, Jaws, and of course Kyle's favorite, Hoosiers. I love you, Rich. There were coaches like Coach Pluta, footy, Bruce Bonney, Folds, Burton, my brother, and I got to coach Kyle and Pop Warner. So did Tom. Tom coached with me, and we got to coach both Michael and Kyle at those early development years, and it was a lot of fun. Your other coaches, like the Colliers, Tom and Brian Collier, were probably the most influential in developing Kyle's basketball IQ, skill development, and inspiring Kyle to pursue basketball beyond Norwich High School. You've probably noticed Stu Hughes has been sitting with us at our table, and he's been bugging me all night. He said, I'd like a shout out. I was Kyle's first water boy. So there you go, Stu. He went on to continue his basketball career at St. Lawrence. There he balanced the rigors of college athletics with the demands of academics because of the message that his mother always instilled, that education and athletics go hand in hand. Sports may teach us discipline, teamwork, and resilience, but education equips with knowledge, perspective, and the tools to succeed in life. And Kyle embraced both. Those were fun years for MC and me, watching not only Kyle play, but also watching a young lady that we could tell Kyle maybe had a little interest in. A tenacious defender, darn good shooter, captain of the girls' team, and my daughter-in-law, Kevin. And Cameron wrapped up her St. Lawrence experience by playing football for the Saints as well. It was pretty fun. Not only continuing watching those two overlap for a couple of years in high school, but also in college. We made new friends, loved the continuation, and a rich journey that started here in Norwich. The values he learned along the way didn't stop with high school or even with college. They became the foundation for the life he has built since. The same perseverance that pushes an athlete to train harder. The same teamwork that leads to championships. And the same discipline that helps the student balance school and sports. Those values stay with you. Kyle carried lessons from that life's journey thus far into his professional career and his personal life. As a son, brother-in-law, most importantly, husband and father, continuing to represent Norwich with pride. So tonight we don't just honor Kyle for what he accomplished as an athlete, we honor the person that he has become and the pride he's brought to his family and to Norwich. Congratulations, Kyle, my boy. A well-deserved induction to the Norwich High School.
If I start crying, you know what I'm doing. I feel incredibly fortunate, honored, and humbled to be standing here tonight to accept the Hall of Fame award. Growing up, the athletes who are current members of the Norwich Hall of Fame were larger than life. That's because my grandpa used to tell me stories, and my brothers and I, about guys like Kurt Byer, Ed Ackley, Barry Benjamin. To now be mentioned alongside them and the many other deserving athletes who built Norwich's history is something that is incredibly special to me. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for this honor, and a special thanks to Rich Turnbull for his time, energy, and effort he put into the Peace in the Evening Sun. Congratulations as well to the fellow inductees. I'm honored to share this moment with you. Hannah, as a middle schooler, I got a front row seat to watch how hard you worked. We both spent hours after school with Josh Bennett in the multi-purpose room, and like Josh said, you really didn't miss. You are a fierce competitor on the court and an even better person off of it. Norwich is lucky to have you and Kevin and your little guy Emerson back in Norwich. Mike, you and I go as far back as I can remember. Friends for nearly our whole lives and teammates since our Cyclone C team days. Our games always seemed to complement each other. We made each other better every step of the way. The team's success was proof of that. But we also competed. The coaches rarely put us on the same sides during scrimmages, and for good reason. That friendly rivalry pushed us both to another level. Our careers and friendships are so intertwined from the start that it feels fitting to be standing up here today. I only ever had one teammate who was tougher and more intimidating to opponents, and that was your sister. Mr. Weiser, thank you for your many contributions to Norwich High School in athletics. I was fortunate to benefit from the environment you helped create. And to the Norwich 65 track team, congratulations. You clearly built the tradition of hard work and excellence that makes Norwich athletics so special. Standing here tonight, I can't help but think back to other moments at this podium, watching my grandfather accept his Distinguished Citizens Award, my dad and uncle handing out Cyclones trophies, my brothers and I giving captain speeches. My journey here started long before I was an athlete. My earliest memories are as a ball boy at Alumni Field, tagging along with my brothers, Casey and Keegan. I'd watch my dad and uncle coaching, my grandpa in his lawn chair keeping stats, my grandma running concessions. I watched, and I just honestly loved being around my family. The Norwich Cyclones and everyone involved became part of that family. Growing up in the Edwards household, expectations were high, but they were never about performance or winning. My parents cared more about character, showing up, working hard, lifting others up, being part of the community, and never, ever giving up. They cared about how we played, not just how well. As my dad said, academics and service always came first, long before athletics. My mom was the cornerstone of that. She set the tone for hard work in the classroom and pushed us to take pride in our education. Looking back, I'm just as proud of my academic career as I am, my academic career and my involvement in the school community through student government and things like Leadership Club, Rich Turnbull, as I am of anything that happened to me on the field or anything that I accomplished on the field. And that foundation all started with my parents. But the greatest gift my parents gave us was their time. They always showed up, never missing a game, even as I went to St. Lawrence, which, if you don't know, is basically in Canada. Mom and Dad, your presence shaped me as an athlete and as a person. I was lucky enough to have my dad as my coach, Cyclone C team, A team, and always close behind as I moved through JV and varsity. Though that did come with long spandex, really short shorts, and sayings that nobody really understood, like moon don't shine at midnight. I still not really sure with that. And then there were those locker room speeches before games as 7 and 8-year-olds, and he would tell us about playing anywhere. We'll play anywhere, even on rooftops and parking lots. And of course, getting called out for seemingly no reason as his son, at his famous line, "Too slow, take a lap." I think he just liked hearing himself say it. In all seriousness though, Dad, and I learned by watching how you led, from the way you treated players, parents, and referees alike, with integrity, compassion, and I wouldn't be here without you. My brothers, Keegan, Casey, Cam, were my role models. From their off-season work to their toughness to Cam's positivity through injuries, they taught me discipline, leadership, resilience. Casey likes to remind me that they deserve at least partial credit for my athletic success. See, when I was 5 or 6, the 3 of them, Casey the ringleader, pinned me down to the ground and picked a chicken pox scab off the middle of my forehead. They called me Dot Head for a year. If you look closely, the scar's still there. And as much as I hate to admit it, Casey's right. They made me tougher and were always in my corner, despite the scars. There's one person who isn't here with us tonight, but whose influence is felt in everything I do, and that's my grandfather. No one embodied the spirit and legacy of Norwich sports more than he did. He loved his town, he loved his community. And he took pride in watching his grandkids be part of it. He taught me that it's not about playing for your community, but about being part of it. Giving back, showing up, making a difference. I know he's here in spirit and smile. There's a quote I love: nobody accomplishes anything significant alone. I didn't just have a supportive family, I had a Norwich community that lifted me up at every step. For me, the YMCA was like a second home. From Little Vipers, Gus Mackers, Freaky February, long hours in the gym training with Brian Collier during the summers, or during my Christmas breaks from St. Lawrence. That's where I was, but it wasn't just a building. It was a community of coaches, volunteers, and friends who shaped me. Norwich may be a small town, but that's what makes it special. The connections are strong and the people are invested. As I grew older, my coaches and mentors played an even greater role in shaping who I am as an athlete and as a person, and I'd be remiss not to recognize a few special ones tonight, though admittedly there are many. Rich Turnbull and Mike Christie, this seems to be a theme, were both coaches and teachers who somehow managed to make History vs. Hollywood, where we watched war movies, and Sports Heroes and Legends, where we played wiffle ball and watched ESPN 30 count as coursework. No wonder I had a pretty good GPA. All kidding aside, the memories and friendships I built with them had a lasting impact, not just on my athletic career, but my entire high school experience. Coach Tim Foote brought out the pure joy of playing, whether in Sarah tournaments, his legendary blend, or the bottomless Mountain Dew. His genuine care for my teammates and I was always evident. And perhaps no group shaped me more than Tom and Brian Collier and Tom Dixon. Tom Collier was a steady presence during some of the toughest moments of my high school career. Even when I was sidelined with injury, he went out of his way to visit me in my PT appointments and check in at Dr. Garzione's office. He also always brought a sense of humor to keep the team spirits high. Brian joining the staff and returning to Norwich was probably the best thing that could have happened in my basketball career. I learned so much about the game from Brian. He instilled a level of confidence in me that, to be honest, wasn't always there. He shaped the kind of player and competitor I became, and that carried with me as I went on to continue my basketball career at St. Lawrence. And Coach Dixon, he was the calm presence that held it all together. And most importantly, kept Tom and Brian, let's just say, even-tempered when they needed it. I was fortunate to play for coaches who demanded the best for me, but who also cared about the person I was. They pushed me to lead, to be accountable, to set the tone for my teammates. Being named the captain at nearly every level was something I never took for granted. It meant my teammates trusted me, and that's one of the greatest honors you can have in sports. When I think back, the memories aren't just about victories, though I'll never forget our Section 4 title game comeback win against Shenango Valley in the arena, or upsetting Johnson City in the snow. What I treasure most are the relationships, the teammates who became lifelong friends, the coaches who became mentors, and the community that always stood behind us. Tonight, I accept this Hall of Fame honor with deep gratitude. Gratitude to my family, who provided my foundation, to my coaches and teammates who shaped me as an athlete and as a leader. Gratitude to the Norwich community, who supported me and provided an environment where I could thrive. I love being part of Norwich Athletics, and I cherish the memories and relationships I now have. I'm incredibly proud to be a member of the Norwich Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you all.